Good morning, Oak Crest, and welcome back to a very special edition of your morning show. It is my honor and privilege today to get an opportunity to speak to one of the people that helped found WOCV-TV. Well, it wasn't exactly called that back then, but we'll get into that a little more in just a little bit. First, though, I'd like to welcome my guest, Mitch Markowitz. Mitch, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate being back here.
You know, in the last couple months, we're honoring WOCV and its 15-year history. You know, we've been here. We started a year after, and I figured we could not get away with celebrating 15 years without having the original host of Good Morning Oak Crest here to talk a little bit more. So I have to ask, what have you been up to since Oak Crest?
It's really been 15 years?
Yes, I know.
I'm absolutely stunned. First of all, I want to make sure we set the record straight. It's not like you called my agent and flew me in from out of town, all expenses. But that's not what happened.
The residents don't know about the five-star hotel.
No, limos back and forth,
right,
the whole
exactly.
9 yards. No, we can't talk about that kind of stuff these days. No, you Facebook stalked me. I mean, let's be honest.
A little bit, yeah. That's true. I'll give it to you. Yeah.
So you
Facebook, the connection, yeah.
Right, absolutely. So the good news is it wasn't a long commute for me to come up here. I'm actually still living here in Maryland.
Okay.
Down in Howard County, and I'm still in healthcare.
Okay.
I'm actually working for a company called Family and Nursing Care. It's a terrific family-owned business where we try and help people maintain their independence. Mm-hmm. And actually, what's kind of cool about this is we have a couple of different things that we've done. We're in the process of launching a brand new company called Legacy Therapeutic Massage, which is actually the first company of its kind in the country. Mm-hmm. And it is actually a therapeutic massage company designed specifically for older adults as they age, dealing with all of the things that come along with aging. Okay. What's special about it is, number one, we're specializing in the therapeutic approach. Number two, we're bringing it to people's homes. So it's the first mobile therapeutic massage company in the country focusing on older adults. So.
I mean, that's a great opportunity because, I mean, there are so many seniors out there with the aches and the pains and all that stuff. Not to mention you look at like rehab and stuff like that. I mean, it's a great idea.
Well, you know, and conceptually it's great, and we wish the insurance companies would just buy into this because what happens right now is Medicare and private insurance covers massage therapy if it's part of physical therapy. Okay. So right now massage, in the sense that we're doing it, is an out-of-pocket expense. Okay. But what the research has shown us, which blew me out of the water, was it has so many clinical benefits beyond just the aches and pains. I mean, everybody knows you get a massage, you're going to sleep a little better, you'll be more relaxed, right? But the ongoing massage, the targeted treatments towards specific aches and pains, and you go even beyond that. You know, I talk about my own grandfather he passed away, he had Parkinson's disease. Okay. And one of the things that, one of the studies that I read talked about the physical effects of Parkinson's disease on your body. And basically it's like a marathon runner. A marathon runner runs 26 miles, their legs completely cramp up, ache up, and you can tell when they cross the finish line, they can barely stand up. They're hunched over, their legs are bent because they can't straighten them anymore.
Right, I know, I've definitely seen plenty of videos where you just see them collapse.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about your own experience running marathon.
As you can probably tell, I'm not a big marathon runner.
No, neither am I. I have a hard time driving 26 miles. So what happens when the runner finishes the marathon? They stretch everything out, right? Somebody with Parkinson's can't do that. Mm-hmm. So with the appropriate treatment, the appropriate massage, the strokes, all of those things, they're able to actually add mobility back to somebody who had lost it. So it's a wonderful thing, and I have tons more examples of how it works. But it's just amazing. It's been incredibly refreshing after 10 years of working with a specific program. We're developing something really new and really revolutionary because there's just nobody else out there doing this.
I think it's great. We talked beforehand about how, you came here to Oak Crest with these great TV dreams, wanting to be the big shot news reporter and stuff like that. But to find a new dream and a new goal in life, I think that's fantastic to hear. It sounds like you're doing great.
Well, hopefully. I mean, knock on wood. I still have a job. So, it's been tough for a lot of people lately. And I'm very, very pleased that the business, the family that runs the business is terrific, and they treat me really well. They treat my family really well. They take care of my kids. Yeah, it's a family business. And so it really worked out well. Hindsight being 2020, if I knew what I was going to go through after I left Riderwood, because I moved to Riderwood after Oak Crest. It would have been a tough call if you asked me that question after 1 year, would I have left? Mm-hmm. But some things happen for a reason. And I'm thrilled professionally and personally to be where I am now, and I'm thrilled to be back here. And this is just fabulous. I mean, the set. Well, this wasn't here when I was here. We used to have just a burgundy curtain. Is it still back there?
No, it's still there. Yeah. If you want, maybe we'll take a commercial break and we'll pull it out.
We'll pull. Oh no.
It may take a little while to disassemble the set.
My guess is it probably hasn't been dry cleaned since then.
No.
But the set's cool, and I love the books. Are these actually real books back there?
Some of them, yes.
So I shouldn't have. That's a secret that we shouldn't.
If you'd like to read Penelope Zoo, you're welcome to. But a couple of the other ones, I'm not sure.
The will to manage definitely does not look real to me. But yeah, no. I mean, all things happen for a reason. I'm in a very, very good place now.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, your time at Oak Crest. How long were you here?
Well, I came here. I'll start with the beginning. Like you said, I wanted to be the next Matt Lauer. Or Bob Costas. I was really very much a sports person, and when I left Towson, right up the road, I didn't have anywhere to go. So somebody that I worked with there suggested that I contact Charlestown. Oak Crest was still being built. Town center right here was brand new. One of my first memories of actually walking through the hallways when I was first hired here was going through the link between the buildings, and the residents would line up. They would sit on the benches there, and they would sit there and they would just watch the construction equipment, the great big construction equipment.
Well, they still do that now. They still do that now. It's just not for construction. But when we had the snow a few years ago, they were all sitting on those. They sit on those benches and just watch the snow come down.
Yep,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Watching the buildings rise was just amazing. So I came here and. There wasn't even a studio. There was no equipment. There were no sets. Nothing. So the first thing that we did was we talked to the residents, and we said, "What do you guys want?" And I remember one of the first people I talked to was a wonderful, wonderful lady. Her name was Marge Butts. And I'm thinking to myself, I walked into her apartment and I said, gosh, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I came here, I wanted to roll up my sleeves and learn how to do TV so I can become Matt Lauer. How is talking to Ms. Marge Butts going to help me get to that point?
Right.
And then all of a sudden, when we started talking about the exercise classes that she led and some of her passions in life and what her story was, kind of the switch flipped for me a little bit. And I kind of understood, people, there are stories to tell. And that's kind of what we set out to do at the very beginning was learn how to tell those stories and figure out what was important to the residents here at Oak Crest. This is a city unto itself, and we wanted to bring stories to the residents that mattered to this city.
And just the other day we had a show where I was just talking with Tamika and Josh, the other two staff members here, and we said the same thing. It's locality. That's our draw of
Right.
Good Morning Oak Crest and WOCV is we're offering them. We're showing them themselves. In a sense, we're turning the cameras on them. Some residents are a little more hesitant to have the camera turned on them, but a lot of them seem to warm up to us after a while.
Well, I've many times I have fond memories of being chased down the hallway trying to carry a camera when I was getting a shot of somebody who didn't like to be on camera. So it's a shame, but you have to push the envelope a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I have to ask, I know I do. What would you say in your time here at Oak Crest was your favorite show, hands down?
There's a lot. There are okay. I have a lot.
Okay.
Pastor Klein.
Okay.
Elmer Klein was a pastor right next door.
He's still here.
He's still here. Okay, I'm going to stop by and say hi to him.
Oh, there you go. Afterwards, we'll do that.
You need to ask him if he hasn't done it since then to demonstrate his recipe for groundhog flambe. Does he still do that?
No, but we have been fortunate enough to re-air it a couple times and show the residents that. Yeah.
That was absolutely one of my favorite smaller segments that we did. My big favorite, and I think anybody who knows Tom Foster will understand and will know his name from the dating show that we did.
Oh yeah, Dream Date.
Dream Date was just fabulous. It was so well written, and the residents who were here and participated, first of all, they were fantastic. Second of all, they were good.
Yeah.
They were really good. And I mean, granted, there are some places that it took more than one take to get through.
Of course, but even with your Hollywood actors, you have that every once in a while.
Of course. But it was just so much fun, and we laughed so hard. And when we taped it, the Baltimore Sun sent a reporter out, and she did a story on the whole day. And
that's great.
Oh, she just enjoyed herself so much. It was a lot of fun.
Good. And one of the other ones you mentioned to me, which is something that's been around Oak Crest for probably almost the full 15 years that we've been here, is Zoomobile.
The Zoomobile, yeah, this was, I had a lot of influences, I guess, in TV. This was actually, I think it was one of my ideas. I'll take credit for it. Let's just
okay, all right.
It was my idea.
That sounds good.
Brent Hoffman, if you're watching, I apologize. If it was your idea, I apologize. Becky Holzman, if it was your idea, I apologize. My memory's playing tricks on me now that I'm, so much older, and I'm just going to claim it as my own story. So we contacted the Baltimore Zoo, and they didn't know what Oak Crest was. And we said, hey, we have some residents here, and I was thinking to myself, okay, Johnny Carson. I used to love watching him when the animals would come on to the Today Show.
Oh, yeah.
Today Show? No.
The Tonight Show.
Tonight Show. Day, night, it all blends together now. So I said, that's just a cool idea. Let's do that. Let's figure it out. And we've even, I mean, when I was here, we had residents would bring their pets. Joyce Malone and Tom Malone, they brought their pot-bellied pig onto this very set. But yeah, the Zoomobile was great because they would bring animals that you don't see every day. And some of them kind of creeped me out. I mean, I had snakes crawling, Becky had snakes crawling all over her. I actually remember one time I was hosting and they brought a really small snake. I mean, it couldn't have been any longer than this, but its defense, and they would teach you about these animals and about what its defense mechanisms were and what it ate and all those important things. And I remember putting it in my hand, and the lady, she wasn't so sure. She wanted to let me touch it because there's liability issues.
Right, of course.
It's very delicate, and what happens if I squeeze it or something, like of mice and men?
She thinks you're just going to, destroy it.
Exactly. So she puts it on my hand, and if it feels uncomfortable or threatened, its defense mechanism is to jump to startle the predator.
Oh no!
So I'm holding the snake here in my hand just like this, and I'm like, okay, I'm a little nervous, and I guess it sensed that I was nervous, so it just popped up out of my hand. And what's your first reaction with it? Right on the floor, this little snake, and she thought she was going to get fired.
But there's nothing you can do. It's live TV.
No,
and
it's a wild animal, right? It's going to do what it wants to do.
Oh yeah, of course. So, other than the TV studio, what else here at Oak Crest, kept you here?
Oh man, the people. I mean, that's quite honestly the biggest difference professionally for what I'm doing right now is I'm in an office all day long.
Right.
And I'm out on the road and I have appointments and things like that. But I miss the residents. I miss being able to, have a very stressful morning. And oh gosh, it's been tough. And I've got this meeting and I've got this assignment. And I've got to get all these things done. But what was great here is every time I would get to that point, and you know what, I just need a couple of minutes. I would walk right out those doors, right out there into the hallway, and it never failed that somebody would stop to chat. And your brain goes away, and you're not going to talk about the troubles of your day, the stresses that you might talk about with other colleagues.
Right.
With the residents here, you're transported. You're on vacation. You're somewhere else, and you're talking.
And they're so happy to talk to you and tell you stories, and I mean, they'll tell you anything from family related to their history and things like that. And you're right, it's such a relief to just have the opportunity to just take that moment and just listen.
And and what's great is everybody has a story, and I think that's the beauty of. Well, the beauty of Oak Crest and the beauty of the TV station is you get to share so many of those stories, and you really get to learn about people, and it gives you the opportunity to celebrate life, to celebrate. It's different. You and I are in a different generation, and we're in a different place in our lives.
Right.
And we have a lot of our goals and a lot of our a lot of things that we want to learn how to do better, and we've got such great teachers here.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that I really miss. I miss that interaction.
Yeah, I mean, I know for a fact that, just talking to some of the residents, even like when you think you're having a hard day and they come to you and they'll just tell you a story, and I mean, sometimes they're not always positive stories, sometimes there's some negative things, but you know what, it almost puts your life into perspective as well, like they talk about, the world wars and all those sorts of things, and you're just like, I'm lucky to be where I am today, and I think for me at least, it's definitely a relief to get to hear, how things were so much harder. I think a lot of people, picture senior citizens, they think of them as grouchy and crabby, and most of the residents here, if not all of them, are some of the happiest people I know.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy that. I mean, we know. All right, let's talk. Let's be honest here. I mean, you got to say that because you're on the payroll still. I can say the truth, and look, the reality is, again, I'll come back to my own grandparents. Heck, I'm going to be this person. They're not all happy people, and you know what? That's okay. Everybody, you've got aches and pains. Things are not the same mentally. I'm still 35, 45, 50 years old is probably what a lot of people say.
Right.
But physically, there's a lot going on there, and you can't expect that to be a happy place. But what I think our jobs are is to again, we want to celebrate life, celebrate, what's your story, where are you today, and let's celebrate all of that. And I think it's fabulous. The one thing I do miss though, and this was I think this is probably the biggest thing that I enjoyed about being here, it was a great ego boost. Not only was it was kind of creepy, by the way, because I didn't know nearly all the residents. When I left, there were almost 2,000 residents here, and there probably are about
That's
the same
about
today.
how much we have now, yeah.
Right, so it felt like 2,000 people knew who I was. Now granted, I know it's the truth. Not everybody watches the Good Morning Oak Crest program every day. Shame on you if you don't watch. You need to be watching. But you know, so many people do watch the programs, and they do know who you are. And I felt bad when somebody would say, "Hey, Mitch, how you doing?" And I don't have the faintest idea who that was, but it was an ego boost.
Yeah,
I felt important.
Oh no, I know the same feeling.
And and the best part is so many people wanted to set me up with their grandchildren. I mean, I had so many offers for blind dates, and a couple times great grandchildren. It was, I mean, hey, it was great.
You're not gonna. What am I gonna say? No, you know, at that point, yeah.
Well, no, you know what? And the reality is, I met my wife on a blind date. Okay. Now, it wasn't somebody that was...
Okay, it wasn't a resident.
It wasn't a resident. It was a former Ericsson staff member that set me up on this blind date, so I can certainly say that. But yeah, you know, there's nothing wrong with blind dates. It was flattering. It was great. And let me tell you, some of these girls were pretty cute. So...
All right, well, we'll move on from that one now because I'm worried your wife might end up seeing this one later.
Oh, I should have planned ahead, shouldn't I?
Speaking of your wife, you have a wonderful family now. Tell us a little more about them.
Sure. Well, my wife, Deb, is a former teacher in Howard County.
Okay.
We actually, like I said, we were introduced on a blind date by Elaine Peterson, who, if you want to dig out of your archives, when Ericsson entered the Guinness Book of World Records for the most senior citizens doing the Macarena. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
Elaine Peterson is the one who was instructing people how to do the Macarena on that videotape. So anyway, she knew somebody in common, introduced me to my wife, set us up on a blind date, and we've been married now 8 years.
Okay.
We've got 2 terrific kids. My daughter just turned 7, and my son is 5.
What are their names?
My daughter is Jessica.
Okay.
And my son is Sam, and he's a July 4th birthday. It's really a shame because they're young enough where, you know, she's 7 years old, and, you know, she wants to celebrate her birthday, and he just turned 5 a couple months back. They want to be able to celebrate their birthdays. Well, my son was born on the 4th of July. And he thinks that those fireworks are for him, and that parade through our neighborhood is all for him, right? My daughter was born September 28th. We're Jewish.
Okay.
Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. That's not a good way to spend your birthday in services. So there's a little jealousy going on there, but they're fantastic kids. And
glad to hear that.
They're easy, they're fun.
And they're getting ready. Are they getting ready to go to school, or are they?
They're both in school.
Okay.
First grade and kindergarten. Wow. So actually, my wife runs her own business. It works out really well. She was teaching when we met, but when we got engaged, we knew that. And I know there's a lot of teachers that live here at Oak Crest, so they can probably relate to the amount of work.
Oh, I'm sure.
And planning.
Oh, yeah.
And test grading and phone calls to parents and
you don't want to do that while you're carrying around a child at the same time.
Well, you know, it's not even that you don't want to while carrying a child. It's the hours. It's the sheer hours of the day.
That's true. Yeah.
She would get up and you know, she'd be on the go at 7 o'clock in the morning, and she wouldn't stop till midnight. And it was just hard. It was really hard on her. So we decided when we got engaged that we wanted to find a plan for our family. Where she didn't have to do that, and she would have a way to be at home. So she started her own business, actually. It's called Tutorific. And anybody who wants the phone number, if you have grandchildren that need a little extra help in Howard County, call me. But she sends tutors out to people's homes.
Okay.
And you know, she's got folks who help with everything from basic elementary school reading, writing, math, all the way up through SAT prep, calculus. She's got some college students. And it's you know, it's nice because she doesn't leave the house often. She's able to do most of the work from home. She does the marketing work. She interviews the tutors. She does all the screening, and she sends the folks out. So she's able to do both. She's able to be a mom, which is the number one priority for her. Right. And she's also able to stay in touch with her education roots and help some kids. We actually had a really neat experience a couple of weeks back. We were watching TV, and this is kind of a reference back to her teaching days. She was, you know, I was watching the Nationals game. The Nationals were playing against somebody, and she heard a name all of a sudden in the background on the TV. Is that my little Stevie? Oh my gosh, my little Stevie's there. He's on TV. He's playing for the. She taught this Steve Lombardozzi Jr.
Okay.
He's a third baseman for the Washington Nationals, and his dad is a former major leaguer. They live in Columbia.
Okay.
She taught him when he was in elementary school,
amazing.
and she's got all these stories about when he was a little kid and how he, you know, how he was the best student ever, and he was the only one who could stay in his seat. So it was. I mean, it's, you know, it's good. It's, she's still connected to a lot of that. She still sees a lot of these kids, and it's fabulous.
And that's a great thing. I mean, I think that almost relates a little bit back to Oak Crest as well. I mean, again, everybody has a story, you know. I mean, even whether you take it from your wife's perspective, who had the opportunity to teach someone who later on became a Major League Baseball player, or you take it from his perspective, you know, everybody has something to say, you know?
Yeah, and you know, you're exactly right. One of the residents that I became close to when I was here was Mr. Ed Liberatore, and I don't know if anybody remembers that name, but he was a former Major League Baseball scout, and he scouted for the Cincinnati Reds and for the Baltimore Orioles, and I mean, his apartment was a shrine. Autographed pictures of him with Joe DiMaggio, and you know, it was just amazing. But again, the stories are so parallel, and it got a little crazy. Now, when I left Oak Crest, I ended up going to Riderwood and marketing with Riderwood, and then I ended up leaving Riderwood, and I got what I thought was a great opportunity to get into on the operations side of a retirement community, and it was not as well run as the Erickson communities are, I'm sad to say, and it was tough. So we ended up we would come home from work. Her from school and me from the retirement community, and we'd have very similar stories, which was kind of creepy. You know, she would say that she had to send 2 kids to the office because they were throwing food in the cafeteria. Well, guess what? More often than not, I had a similar story with my residents. She would talk about the parents, and she calls them helicopter parents, the parents who would hover around the teacher and make sure that she was doing everything right. Well, guess what? We had helicopter adult children who were always in my office talking about how, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, there were a lot of similarities between teaching and working in a community like that. It was never about the kids.
Okay.
It was never about the residents. It was the family members.
Every time. Yeah.
Every time.
Well, you know, they're worried about them. Sometimes they just need to back off a little bit.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Right.
You know, I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say that I'm the same way about my kids. My son played t-ball for the first time this year, and this is a really funny story, actually. So he's playing t-ball. You know, at the time he was only 4 years old, not very coordinated. He's like me. I played on the Oak Crest softball team back in the day when there was a league across the street all the time.
Over at the park, yeah.
Yeah, and I was people who had ever seen me play, any staff members who were still here who played with us, will vouch for me that I was not very good. Sadly, my son takes after me.
Were you the kid picked last?
I was, often. Very frequently. But I still had fun. You know,
Right,
that's what it's all
you're having
about.
a good time, right.
So my son was by far the smallest person on the team. It was a t-ball league, and it's kids from 4, he was the youngest, all the way up to 7 years old. Smallest kid on the team, slowest kid on the team, didn't know how to throw very well, very distractible, so the coach is trying to teach him how to hit. And you know, it's all I could do not to jump up out of my seat and run over and do it for the coach, because I know what's going to get him to do it better.
Right,
The coach doesn't know him, right?
No.
I know him. I know him better than anybody. This is probably what the adult children are saying. I know mom better than anybody else. I know what she needs. You don't know what she needs. So I wanted to do it, and I was holding back, and the coach is trying to get him to swing hard. And my son's really into superheroes. It's all about Superman, and Spider-Man, and the Green Lantern, and the Hulk, and you know, all the superheroes. So finally, I couldn't take it anymore. So I just yelled. I said, "Sammy, pretend that the ball is a bad guy, and you're trying to hit the bad guy." So all of a sudden, his eyes just lit up. And
he got it at that point. Yeah.
No, you think that's what would happen, right?
Oh no.
He spent the next 10 minutes talking about which bad guy the ball is going to be, and picturing him, and then he said the third bad guy is the hardest, and he just makes up all these stories. He's very creative, which is great. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Didn't hit too well though.
Athletics may not be his future, but writing
Writing
sounds
might
like
be. Yeah, he's
plan.
creative. Yeah, both he and my daughter are pretty creative, so that's good. They get that from my wife.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So let's talk a little bit more about your time at Oak Crest.
Sure.
I have to ask, you know, are there any real regrets you have from your time here at the TV studio?
That's a hard one. You didn't tell me you were going to ask me.
I'm sorry. All right. Well, here, how about I give you a little prompt?
Okay.
All right. Now we've got a picture for you that I think I want you to look at, and I want you to tell me if you regret this at all. You ready? How about that outfit right there? That one I liked.
Okay, that is almost as bad. Was it the Halloween?
Yes.
The Halloween programs.
It was the 1996 Halloween costume contest.
So that's one of the worst memories that I have. Absolutely. And actually, I think I had blocked it all out until you just put that up on the screen. Thank you for sharing that. The following year, and then one of these things, I'm a little OCD in a lot of ways. The following year, I actually got myself talked into becoming a clown.
Okay.
I don't know if that's another picture that you had. I don't have.
No, that one
picture.
I don't think we have.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
But there was we got dressed, and that was probably even worse than the cheerleader outfit. What I do, if you want to ask me, put that picture back up, and I'll tell you what I regret.
Okay, see, now that's a sad day in my life. It's a wonderful Towson State University cheerleader outfit. And actually, I got that because, do you know how I got that? I was actually the Towson Tiger.
Really?
Before coming to Oak Crest.
Look at that. Another thing we have in common.
That's on the resume. Were you the Tiger?
Yes.
Really? Wow. Oh
For
my
a year.
gosh. Well, that's on my resume. Well, what I regret was not losing a few pounds before doing this. I went shopping to find a skirt that would fit me. Because, of course, the cheerleading skirt, you can imagine, was not made for my hips.
Yeah, I'm going to assume.
Well, do you want to know what the biggest eye-opener, shocking moment was in preparing for this appearance?
What's that?
I'm a plus size.
Oh, Mitch, I'm so sorry.
I never would have thought that. I've always been told that I'm thin, not skinny. My grandmother would get very mad if somebody said skinny. I'm thin. I'm not. That's not a plus size figure right there.
Right.
So now, yeah, it's I don't know.
There's a little
that might be my biggest regret.
That you were plus sized, skirt size. Well, Mitch, it's been a fantastic time talking to you, and I wish we could talk more, but we're running out of time. I have to say, I'm going to give you one opportunity real quick. If there's anybody out there that remembers you from your past here, or even if they've experienced you since then, is there anything you'd like to say to them?
I miss you guys. I definitely miss my time here at Oak Crest. Was about as special and as a wonderful period of time as I could ever imagine. For the residents who were here as some of the original pioneers, I'm glad you're doing so well. I'm glad you guys are still here. Staff members, there's a lot of staff members we were talking about beforehand. Glad you guys are doing so well. We need to have a reunion party, something, I don't know.
I think so. We'll look into
plan
organizing
something.
it,
We'll do something, yeah. But you guys are doing a great thing. This is a wonderful mission, a wonderful, both at Oak Crest as well as here at the TV station. You guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
And yeah, keep doing it. This is a wonderful, wonderful business to be in, a wonderful place to be.
Great. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you so much, Chris.
You're always welcome to come back and take a shot at hosting again if you'd like.
Wow. All right. I might take you up on that.
You let me know when.
Got to fulfill my fantasy. You know what? It's like those fantasy baseball things, camps that you go away and get dressed up and play with the stars. It'd be like that.
It's fantasy TV camp.
Fantasy TV. Why not?
I don't know if the kids are going to be. I don't know. We'll see.
All right.
But anyway, thanks for stopping by today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.